guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. It is Monday morning and we are going to get right to it on everything that happened over the weekend. Now, the biggest story actually that's sort of trending on Twitter right now and just sort of in general is related to Kanye West and his rally speech that he did in North Charleston. Now, Kanye, a couple days ago, there had been some suggestions that he had dropped out of his bid to run for president. However, he was at the rally in order to obtain 10,000 signatures to get on the ballot. So at this rally, there was a lot of questionable things said by him and videos that were streamed by The Sun online on YouTube showed that Kanye was a little bit erratic. He was being a little bit nonsensical, and he was talking about things that just really were sort of beyond comprehension. One of those was that he would fund a organization called Plan A and give $1 million to every woman that considered having an abortion. He also discussed that when his wife Kim Kardashian was pregnant, that he actually wanted her to abort, and went on to a very teary tirade about that. One of the more controversial statements that really upset people was related to Harriet Tubman, where he actually said that she did not free anyone, but rather she just sent them off to work for white people. Fact check of that statement would show it's completely inaccurate, because in the 1800s, in 1863, she, along with a group, helped to free over 700 slaves through an underground railroad. At one point, there was actually a bounty on her head for $40,000. So his memory or recollection of Harriet Tubman had a lot of people upset. Obviously, there's been some discussion about what is going on with him. Why is he running for president? What is this rambling speech that we're seeing? What's going on with Kanye? It's very reminiscent of what we saw a couple years ago when he was on stage and he abruptly stopped his tour. After what happened on stage, he also had an interview with TMZ. We all kind of know what happened with that. He has also been he was rocking the red hat. He is running for president, but says he's never voted. There's just a lot of stuff going on here where the average person without any kind of medical expertise could say that what's going on is he is struggling. So yesterday, some of the most awful statements that he made are obviously concerning people, including his wife, Kim Kardashian. Yesterday, I did a video where I talked about how I couldn't understand why Kim, given the status of where he's at in his life, would be okay with him going onto a campaign trail, going to a rally, given the status of what is going on with his health. And he clearly seems rather ill at this point in time. Obviously, it is far bigger than one person in a family being able to convince someone to do something. Clearly, Kanye has to be that person to decide that he wants to get help. But in cases like this, there's been a lot of questions on Twitter about the role the family is playing in all of this. What is their specific belief? What are they feeling behind the scenes? Here is a couple quotes. So, according to Entertainment Tonight, who actually spoke with a source or a family friend, said that Kim and the family are worried about Kanye. Here's what the source told Entertainment Tonight. Kanye isn't in a good place, and he isn't listening to anyone trying to talk to him into getting help. Kim is upset with Kanye for his rants yesterday, especially talking about the possibility of having an abortion and not giving birth to North. She knows that this is something that North will see when she gets older, and that's heartbreaking. They also say that his close confidants and his team want him to end his presidential run before he does any more damage to himself and to his brand and to his family. Apparently, they were all very excited when he made the decision, because over the 4th of July, he says that he goes on Twitter and he says, "We now must realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision and building our future." He said, "I'm running for president of the United States." So a lot of people were like, why would Kim actually support this? And apparently she has been supportive of him running for president. So This is what the source told ET. Kanye's family will always support him in his endeavors, but they will not also worry for him. Kanye has a tendency to overwork himself physically, emotionally, and mentally and not take the time to rest or reset. The family is supportive of Kanye's plan to run for president, but they don't agree with his Forbes interview. And they also said that Kim supports him in his endeavors to run for office, but she would be relieved if he doesn't run because of the chaos of trying to pull this off. Kim is obviously concerned. She wants him to get help, but apparently it's not working, and she is supportive but not supportive. It's sort of a confusing statement to me that she is supportive of him making this decision, but then also everyone around him is concerned that he needs to get help. I would guess that people are trying to be supportive in his, So Kim is supportive of him, but then also not supportive. Go figure. Okay, and then obviously TMZ, who has a relationship with the family. It was on TMZ where Kanye had one of his most infamous public meltdowns. And a source told them that Kanye is in desperate need of professional help in the middle of a serious bipolar episode, but he's not listening to anyone. So apparently he is going through something very serious right now. All of his friends, family want him to get help. He will not listen to them. They're also worried that Kanye is going to ruin his brand, but because of the comments that he made about Harriet Tubman, they say that those kinds of comments are the ones that could 100% trigger specific boycotts. Interestingly, when the market opened this morning, CNN actually reported that the Gap's stock had dropped 6%. Now, when they announced that they were partnering with Kanye in June, the Gap's shares went up 19%, following his statements yesterday that he might leave the Gap unless they put him on the board. Shares fell 6%. So his statements obviously do affect the companies that he has partnered with. Gap has apparently also been struggling financially, and this was sort of looked at as a way to sort of rebrand the organization and bring them back into making money. Anyways, so the family's upset that he discussed the pregnancy, as the ET said, and they also say that there was this aspect of him blurting out that he realized that Kim might divorce him for saying what he did, but he didn't really care, and he'd even he'd thank her for having North. Not happy that he mentioned that he thought that Kim might divorce him. There'd been some reports this past spring that they were spending time in different wings of their houses, that they were struggling to spend as much time together given everything that's been happening with quarantine. Apparently, Kim is not used to having to be at home all the time. Kanye is not able to pull his weight. She was upset about that. There was discussions about whether or not they were going to separate. Then there was other discussions saying, no, they're not going to separate. Kim sees this as them as a power couple. They are a family. She doesn't want to have the public humiliation of getting another divorce, especially after what happened with Chris Humphries. It's kind of a mess here. And then you have people on Twitter blaming Kim, his family, her family, and a lot of people around him, and people saying Kanye, where are the people in your life telling you not to do these kinds of things? Obviously, Kanye West cannot be forced to get help unless he is a danger to himself. And clearly the family knows that he needs to get help, but somehow he's still being enabled by someone, and I don't know who that is, to do these rallies, to take him these places, to do what he's doing. He's able to have security. I guess the problem might be is that he has a lot of money. He has a lot of people that he can put around him to say yes and not say no. And obviously Kanye is the kind of person that's going to do what he wants to do. I don't know how you move forward in a situation like this. I know a lot of the outlets are really focusing on the very outlandish things that he did and the way that he treated people, which obviously is terrible. Some of the things that he said during that rally were incoherent at best and really harmful at worst, 100%. But how do you get to a place where you sort of separate yourself from what he's saying and realizing that he's ill? Some people on Twitter were even saying, I don't care that he's sick. Illness doesn't make you say these kinds of hurtful things. So you have people kind of all over the board. At the end of the day, I'm still confused at the statements by the family. One, they're concerned. They want him to get help, but he's refusing. But then they're supportive of him and his business ventures, but then concerned that his brand is going to tank because of this. And then they're not concerned about Kim's brands because Kim's brands are apparently completely separate from Kanye's, and they have their own specific like base, and they're not worried if that Kanye will negatively affect Kim. Now, when you start talking about your family members in terms of business, that can sort of muddy the waters here. Like, you want to make sure that you're helping your family, but then you also are thinking of them from a business perspective, which is, again, the trouble with having family businesses. I'm actually surprised, given his very over the top behavior, that there are brands that still even want to work with him. If he were to say commit to getting help and doing the work he needs to do to get better, I think more brands would be open. You know, Gap hasn't said if they're going to drop him. Ultimately, the Gap needs someone to help their company because the company had been losing money and was looking for another way to sort of rebrand and bring their label back up. I don't know. Kanye has a lot of sorting out to do. His family has a lot of sorting out to do. He obviously cannot be forced to get help, but it sounds like if something doesn't happen soon, there could be something very drastic that happens. In a 2019 interview with Vogue, Kim Kardashian actually said that Kanye does not take medications because it doesn't work for him. It changes who he is. So they try to manage everything without medication and sort of ride things out. She also clapped back at the accusation that she wasn't doing enough for her husband and that she was allowing his behavior, because she said that she does everything that she can to be supportive, to try to calm him down and try to make things better. Kanye doesn't seem to want to medicate because the medications sort of dull him and he feels less creative, which I honestly can understand that. There seems to be a need for either him having some more conversations with his team or, you know, the family all working together with education. I don't really know. If you're a mental health expert, you can leave your comments below. Ultimately, everyone should want him to get well. Everyone should want his family to be on board with him getting well. And instead of talking about the sideshow of all of the comments, maybe the conversation needs to be about what does it look like to get help? How do you get someone to get help? And then how do you, as a family that makes so much money off of him, kind of separate yourself and be like, you know what, the business stuff, it's secondary to your health. We need to get you healthy. Business is second. Is money more important than health? I'm not saying that that's where they're coming from, but when they start talking about his business ventures falling apart, that does sort of go in the back of my mind. Is money a factor here? That's sort of motivating them, supporting him, going for president, because it brings publicity to them. It puts them into this level of, they get all this press, they're going to get a lot of exposure, and it obviously builds more interest around their brands. But then when you have what happened yesterday, it can only fuel and sort of make the brand look bad. So I never, Kim comes from Kris Jenner, who is always marketing her family. So it's hard to know like where this family sits, but a lot of people on Twitter are worried that they're not doing enough. I don't think you can specifically blame the family, but obviously something has to happen. So hopefully he will get help. Hopefully his family or his friends can get through to him, or someone can help him so that what happened yesterday does not become a recurring pattern. Because it seems as though what's happening is it's just getting worse and worse and worse every single year that he goes untreated. All right, you guys, so tell me what your thoughts are. Do you think that Kim needs to help him more? Do you think that it's confusing? Do you think that it's not illness, he's just being a jerk? What do you think? Do you think that he needs help and he needs to have people around him that will say no? Or do you think it's just that this is Kanye, Kanye's stubborn, and he'll do what he does? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.